Armitage family, who were very, very wealthy pastoralists. You know what pastoralists are? Pastoralists are, yeah. Yeah, that's right. What special thing would a pastoralist have on their land, do you think?
Cows.
They could have cows. They probably would have some cows and cattle, but more than anything else, they would have had. They'd have to have horses. Everyone had horses in those days, but that's not what earned them their money.
What kind of land did they have?
Pardon?
Wheat?
They would have grown a bit of crops, but the most thing they would have had more than anything else of would be sheep. Right. All the land here, where we are, stretching right through to the mountains and all the way up to Little River, belonged to a pastoralist called Mr. George Fairburn. He lived in the big house here. And he built that house in 1882, but he married George Armitage, I think it was, married his daughter. There were both a lot of Georges in those days. Anyone know why there's a lot of Georges in those days? An English name, you're on the right track, but something even more important than it just being an English name. There was a very important person. I'm going to give you another name.
It was King's name.
That's absolutely right. It was the King's name. It was King George IV. King George III and King George IV were on the throne, and when those two men were born, I'm not sure which one would have been on the throne, King George III or IV, one of the two, probably the fourth. And then, of course, Queen Victoria took over, and this house and the next door house are both Victorian houses because they were built in a style that Queen Victoria's reign seemed to bring about. A lot of the houses in Geelong and probably a lot of houses in Melbourne were built from the time that Queen Victoria went on the throne to the time when she died. And she was on the throne for how many years, Jenny?
She died in 1903.
1903, yes. 1903. She must have been, was it 60 years?
Was it something like 1860?
No, she must have gone on the throne about 1850 or something like that. 40, 30, 1830. 40s, probably. So she was on the throne for ages, just like Queen Elizabeth I. Anyway, not too much of this, but I just wanted you to feel where you are. You're in the second house that was built in this particular area here. The first house was only pulled down on this block in 1965 when the government put up an office block out the back, which is now a flat in the studio. But they had some beautiful old limestone buildings out there which were there in the 60s, the 1960s. They've been there since 1840. I wish they were still there, because they would have been very interesting historically. Anyway, a manager lived in this cottage and managed the Armitage farm. George Fairburn bought the Armitage farm when he married George Armitage's daughter in 1856, and then he gradually bought all the land until he owned 6,500 acres, all the way from Lara up to Little River. That's right up into the Shire of Werribee. And I'm going to show you later today, we're going to have a very nice time, we're going to have a look at some of the parts of the house that show you some of the history. And I'm going to give you a little bit on that because it's rather beautiful to talk about. I bet yesterday, when you started on that song, you never realised that you were going to sing it so well. That's as good a singing as we've had since we started this program. I think Jenny, it's terrific. And I'm absolutely thrilled with that. I mean, I was only just singing the words. Because we're going to do something which we love doing. We're going to do some voice warm-up, very quick little voice warm-up things to some funny old elocution rhymes.
You diverted yourself so thoroughly you forgot to say what you were going to say to the children
What was it going to say? And rascal ran. Try it. Round and round the rugged rock, the ragged rascal ran. Despite the fact that I'm going to sing ragged rock, it's rugged rock. Okay. Here we go. Let's just try it. Round and round the rugged rock, the ragged rascal ran. And you can roll your arms. It's very good. A 1, 2, 3, 4. Round and round the rugged rock, the ragged rascal ran. Round and round the rugged rock, the ragged rascal ran. Now, we do something funny with this. We go up a little step in music every time. Now, a little step in music is this. Listen to it. Here's where we start, and then we creep up a little step the next time. That little step is called a semitone. See if you remember that. I'll ask you it again later. It's called a semitone. Here's our rhythm. It's too fast, isn't it?
The
that way too. It's great. It's just great for me to have my own choices. There's lots of kids like us. You know, Frank, we could all get together just because we're different. Here come the other kids now. See what they do, okay? Hey, you guys! How'd you like to form a new group? Yeah, all the kids who just like being themselves and are happy to be different. Yeah!
Good evening everyone and welcome to Pura Arts Centre. Thank you for your attendance tonight. It's a bit of a shame it was such a wet day and it's really muddy outside, but that can't be helped. Hopefully the performance will warm you up tonight and we'll go home really satisfied. The children have been working really hard over the last couple of days. It was a very intense time for them because what we wanted to do was get a whole performance worked out in 2 days, which is really quite difficult. So they have been working hard and it's been enjoyable. Firstly, I'd just like to introduce you to Jeffrey and Jenny, who are on my right over here. Jeffrey, John Breen and Jenny Abella have been working with the children over the last 2 days, and they've put some real efforts into their work with the children. The teachers have been really quite amazed how enthusiastic and how much enthusiasm they've brought out of the children in the last couple of days. So perhaps rather than have an anticlimax and have the thank yous at the end of the performance, could you all put your hands together and thank Jenny and Jeffrey? Thank you. And I'd also like to thank the teachers, not only those that have been here for the last 2 days, but for those that arrived tonight and drove down from Altona and really went out of their way to help out with our efforts over the last couple of days. So thanks, teachers. And a special thanks to you all, because without the audience it's not going to be all that much worthwhile. I'll leave it with you now. I'm going to introduce Jeffrey again and ask him to come and give a brief outline of what we're on about tonight. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, John. It is wonderful to have this rustic space full of people. The rustic space that we're in now, we can't really call it a theatre, I suppose, but it does the job. And we love working in here with children, and I must say you have wonderful children, and they're very lucky in having wonderful teachers, a marvellous group of teachers who hopped in all the time And to try and put a show together in 2 days, from beginning to end, it's only very short. But when you see how much has been accomplished, we could do it a lot better with more time. We'd know more things, we'd add more things, but the children have done wonderfully in the 2 days. It's most exciting to work with them. This space down here has come about in an odd sort of way. The building was put up, the frame of the building was put up on a CEP program, Commonwealth Employment Program. My partner and I and a lot of helpers put the roof on, and over the last 18 months I've built it in, put up the lights, built the stage, put in the windows on the other side, and made it into a place that is really quite comfortable to work in during the day and during the night. The stage is all made from the base of machinery that Ford's gave us, machinery bases that came out on the ship from England, and it's a very solid stage. The windows at the back were all donated by Pilkingtons, and that's terrific. And various things like the carpets here, people gave us those too. So lots of things have helped us do all this really from pretty well nothing. So we're thrilled to have you all here tonight, and I know the kids are going to get a great buzz out of performing. So without saying any more except this, the show focuses on the way young people break up into groups. And often ones in one group don't talk to the others in another group, you know? And this show does something to prove and point out that in the end, sometimes we all need each other. No matter what are our likes, the type of clothes we wear or what we do, we all need sometimes to pull together. And these kids in this show, something happens that makes them all have to push hard together, as you'll see. And they succeed. And they succeed very well. We now have great pleasure in presenting our little show called The Rockers, The Poppers and Me.